This is Criccieth in Carnarvonshire, North Wales. There are not a lot of black places around here, but it wasn't always so. In 1742, a young man known as Black Jack came to live here.
The story starts in an African jungle in 1748, when an 8-year-old boy is kidnapped by slavers and dragged away to the slave ship with his mother's distraught cries still ringing in his ears. He was taken to London, where there was a good market in attractive young black boys. He was purchased and then sent as a present to Ellis Wynne, who owned the Ystymllyn estate, which is just over there. But when he arrived here, he could only communicate in what his biographer described as grunts and howls. Of course, that was him actually trying to communicate in African. It doesn't say what he thought when he first heard people speaking Welsh and English. In time, he learnt Welsh and English, and he was actually baptised at this church here at Ynyscaen. He was given the name John, and then because he lived at Ystymllyn, he was given the surname Ystymllyn. John was absolutely the only black person in this whole part of Wales. He must have felt really isolated, and he must have got really fed up with people pointing at him. And once someone said, "Oh, what colour's your blood then, you know, because your skin's black?" And he said, "You silly fool," this is recorded, "you silly fool," he says, "if you took a black chicken and a white chicken and you cut them, you still get the same colour blood, don't you?" Well, we've found in the burial registers of this church, Ynyscaen, that John was definitely buried here. So what we're trying to do now is actually find the grave. I hope it survived though, because of course it's over 200 years old. Oh goodness, look, here it is, here it is. It survived remarkably well. Here lieth the body of John Ystymllyn, and then it's got a rhyme in Welsh, which means India was the place of my birth, but I was baptised here in Wales. This spot marked by a grey slate is my cold, dark resting place. It's extraordinary that this is somebody who's born in Africa. They realised it was a different continent. They didn't actually realise actually get the continent right. Having come all the way from Africa, he's finally buried in a completely bleak, isolated spot on the very edge of Wales, on the edge of the Irish Sea. Extraordinary contrast.
Being the only black man for miles around did not diminish Jack's erotic opportunities. Anything but.
He became an active, healthy-looking youth, and even though his skin was black, the local maidens used to dote on him and would compete for his favours.
Jack's master put him to work as a gardener.
When working in the garden, he used to get a ration of beer, bread and cheese. The task of carrying it to him was given to Margaret, a young maidservant, but she was then so terrified of the black boy that she used to leave the food and drink just outside the garden gate and run back to the house.
She befriended him or he befriended her, and they became lovers, and they really did fall in love. And Margaret, that was her name, was eventually sent away to work on a relative's estate. So John ran away and married her. Now for that, one act of selfishness, John was sacked. But after a while, Ellis Wynne relented and let John come back here to live. Wow, well this is Ystymllyn, and this is where John came in 1748 and spent most of his life working as a gardener. It's a gorgeous place. And this is actually his world. This actually was the space which John inhabited for most of his life, really, which he would have known absolutely intimately. We don't actually know where he lived. It would have been one of the outbuildings. It could very well, very easily have been this one. Very small, but then that's how people lived in those days. John and Margaret had 7 children together. 2 of them died in infancy, so that left 5. And we certainly know that of those children, 2 got married and had children in this area. I think most people have probably got at least one black ancestor. Do you, by any chance, have any black ancestry? Any black people in your family tree? In this area, we know that lots of them are going to have a black ancestor because we know that John was here.
We haven't got any black ancestors. Is somebody pulling your leg?
No, I haven't. No.
Because we're looking
Thank
for...
you, we never know, do we?
No,
I'm not
afraid not.
Thank you very much.
You doubt it?
I doubt it.
You have a job to get anybody to admit to it, you see, wouldn't you?
He left descendants. I think his genes are here in Criccieth. Some people deny it, some people just don't know. but they're here, and that's what happened to most of the black people who came here in the 18th century. They left descendants who are now white, and they've really become part of all of us.